Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we are going to be taking a look at the X-Men, the animated series 1/6 scale Magneto action figure from Mondo. Yes, we are continuing with more X-Men animated series goodness. Magneto is the next figure, which is actually shipping very, very soon from Mondo, so I want to start by giving a very special thanks to the folks over at Mondo for providing this a little bit early so we can unbox it and really get a look at everything that comes with this new figure. But we are going to start by taking a look at that box. The box there features some brand new animated artwork on the front from Dan Wiesenmeyer, who worked on the original series. Also included on there, all the way around the box, are original storyboards from the show, which were also supplied by Dan. So it's an incredible looking packaging design, and that's going to be fluid throughout the line. We saw it in the Jubilee video as well, so really slick stuff here. The front flap on the box opens up to reveal a window, which shows the figure and all of his accessories within. And then, of course, we've also got a description of Magneto on the inside of that flap as well. So really cool packaging. But we're going to go ahead and pull Magneto outside of that box and get a closer look at him. And let's go ahead and start by bringing in the tape measure here and putting that in there to show you guys that he is just shy of a full 12 inches tall. He is almost there. He is, in fact, the largest one in this lineup so far. In fact, if I put him in here standing next to Wolverine and Jubilee, Magneto towers over those other two figures. It's really amazing just to see how massive this figure is. And honestly, one of the things that makes him feel so incredibly large is his cape. Now, the cape design looks fantastic. This is exactly the way it looked in the series, the way it kind of shoots up over his shoulders before pluming down on his back there. It's a really, really cool look. I do want to talk about this cape a little bit. I think it's very important to show this off because this cape is a very stiff plastic. It does have some flexibility to it kind of down here at the bottom that you can see, but this is a very, very stiff plastic. So there's really no bending to it or anything like that. And as a result, it is a little bit top heavy. Now you can see I am standing the figure just fine. As long as you find a good balance with it, it really shouldn't be an issue. But there were some times where I was posing him around for photos that he was a little top heavy just because of the cape, especially being so bulky up here at the top. And of course, that is going to maybe get in the way of some of your posing options. These guys really aren't like super posable in that like can get a dynamic stance out of them anyway. But with that cape there and it being a little stiff, do keep that in mind because that is probably going to hinder some of the articulation with that guy. We'll go ahead and get a look at the articulation a little bit more in depth in just a little bit, but I want to go ahead and focus on the overall look of this guy because he is gorgeous. It's crazy how insanely photogenic this figure is. I had so much fun shooting him. The paint deco on here is really, really nicely done. It is so clean. It is so vibrant. And they went for that cell shaded look once again to kind of really bring out the animation. So you'll notice that there are lighter spots and then shadowy spots on there as well. All of the muscles are outlined with that deep black, almost like a comic booky look or that animated look to it. And you'll also have those black shadowy lines kind of coming down the cape on the back there and everything. But it's insane how good that looks. I mean, this looks like he jumped straight out of the television set. It's really, really nicely done. So great look all the way around. I think they did an amazing job of capturing the likeness of the character as he appeared in the show, and the paint deco just really helps to highlight all of that. All right, so let's play with the articulation on this guy so you guys can see what to expect. So the head there is on a ball joint, so it does roll all the way around, looks left, looks right, pretty great range of motion there. So the shoulders do allow the arms to come outwards. This is one of the spots where that cape might hinder that movement just a little bit there. You can see that even bringing him out to the side, you are going to rub into that cape a little bit. They do come forwards and backwards. Of course, going backwards, you're also going to hit that cape there. You got swivel right above the elbow. You've got a bend at the elbow there, which feels really nice. You got swivel at the wrists there. The wrists are kind of ball jointed. You can see, I'm actually going to pull that out out. So it is on a ball joint in there, and then it's got a peg that is for the interchangeable hands, of course. So in the socket, it does slightly roll around there. It doesn't really have like a good hinge on there. I think it's hinged, but I've really kind of run into some issues. Yeah, you can see it does hinge in there. So the peg does move up and down on that ball joint, but because of the sculpt of like the cuff around his wrist there, you aren't going to get a lot of like bending with the wrists too much. The upper body can move right there, split at the torso, but then it also swivels left and right at the waist there. You do have the ball socket joints at the thighs, so the legs can go outwards. They do move forwards and backwards slightly. You do have a little bit of a hindrance from the trunks there. That's about as far forward as we're going to get the legs to go. We do have nice double joints at the knees. I will say that they're a lot tighter at the top part of the knee than the bottom, so that is something that you do want to keep in mind when you're posing him, because I found that making sure that you really pose the top part of that knee the right way really helps offset any of the top heaviness that you're going to have from the cape there. You do still have a swivel down here, which is really cool because he's got those very unique boots, so it doesn't swivel at the boot cut, just a little bit above that there. And then the ankles are really nice. They're very tight too. You might even hear those kind of squeaking a little bit because they're so tight. But the ankles do have a nice range of motion where they go forwards and backwards and then do rock side to side. So it is a good amount of articulation. And with a lot of the interchangeable pieces in here, you can actually pull off some really cool poses. So let's go ahead and talk about all of that right now. I mentioned the interchangeable hands already, so we will start with that. Right now I've got him with the closed fists. As I showed you guys, it's very easy just to kind of tug on the hands a little bit. It pops them out of socket there. It is a nice tight fit. And along with the closed fists, here is what we get. We get 2 pairs of wide open hands. We get another pair of wide open hands that have magnets embedded in them. We have a pair of hands that are kind of in a grasping pose. And then we get one more closed fist for the right arm that has one of those embedded magnets on the back of the hand there. So those embedded magnets, as you can imagine, are definitely going to be for some of their included accessories there. But it's really nice that they also included, like, for example, they included the open hands here without those embedded magnets. That way, if you want to pose the figure without the magnetic pieces, you don't have to worry about those embedded magnets kind of like breaking up the look of the hands there. So I'm going to go ahead and put on these magnetic hands here just to kind of prepare for some of the cool things that we're going to take a look at. But even before I get to those, I want to point out that we also have multiple interchangeable heads. So right now the head sculpt that I've got on him is a very standard helmeted on head. By the way, I love how good this looks. That helmet's not removable, it's part of the sculpt, but it looks great. Like, it looks like it's actually sitting on him there. There's some really good depth to it there. It looks really nice. And of course, this particular sculpt shows his white eyebrows, his eyes fully. But we do have a few other interchangeable heads. For example, we have another helmeted head where it's kind of got that shadow around his eyes. He's also got the gritting teeth. This is how he appears a lot in the animated series, with that kind of shadow being cast from his helmet. So that is a very cool look for this character as well. We also have the unhelmeted head, so we've got those beautiful flowing white locks of Eric there. Really great sculpt, and again, the cell shading there, you got some blue streaks in there that kind of highlights the white hair, but it looks gorgeous. It is awesome. We also have another helmeted head with bearded Magneto. So we've got the beard, we've got the long hair sticking out of the back, another incredible look for the figure. And for fun, we also have an evil morph head. So we did get a normal morph head with Wolverine. Now we've got the evil version as well. You know, since he's a shapeshifter, throw it on the Magneto body, use it with the Wolverine body, but it's a fun little inclusion there as well. So I do want to show you the interchangeability with the helmets and how that works. Basically, you're just going to want to grasp onto that figure and give it a pull, and it should come right off of the ball joint here. It's very easy to do that. Like I said, nice tight fit, just like with the hands. So it's pretty easy to interchange these, and that way you can swap the parts. Just give it a nice press, and it should clip onto that ball joint there and lock the new head in place. Now, word of warning with this, especially with the ones with the longer hair. Since the neck is painted, you are going to run into instances where you might scuff up that paint, or you'll get some white transferred onto the purple from those longer hair. Mostly, this isn't too big of a deal because it's all on the back and underneath where the heads will actually snap on, so it kind of covers it up. But I do have a little bit of scuffing on the sides, which does show even when I've got the heads on. So this is one of those things where you are just going to want to be cautious while you're doing your swapping so that you're not like scooting that around and rubbing the white hair on there. Because unfortunately, since those are all painted, scuffing is a thing that can happen. And you definitely don't want to scuff that up too much. So just be careful when you're swapping those heads. So to go with all of those cool interchangeable parts, like I mentioned, we do have some really neat effects. I put the hands on them right now that have the embedded magnets in them so I can show you guys the awesome little yellow translucent magnetic rings here. This is really cool. So these do have actual embedded magnets in the center of them there. So with those hands, they actually will just hold in place. Look at that. Look how good these magnets work here. I'm going to set his arm out to the side and clip that in place, and it holds remarkably well. So there's a really, really nice tight grip on there. The magnets hold in place. Also, there's something kind of fun about a character whose power is magnetism and his toy actually has real magnets in it. Man, it's like the old Toy Biz days. I kind of love it. Now, with magnetic parts, especially on collectible figures, I do always have that fear that over time the magnets will fall off or they won't hold as strongly anymore. But for the time being, I will say this works really, really well. I think it's a very, very fun effect. Aside from the cool little magnetic pulses there, he also comes with this little pile of metal, just kind of twisted metal junk there. It's really neat when you look at it. There's like a bent gun in there. There's some piping and wires and cables. It's really cool. So this has also got a magnet on the bottom of it. And you can put this either in those open palmed hands, so it's like he's holding a hunk of metal that he bent up there, or you can use that hand that has the little magnet on the back of the fist, and you can clip it to that, and it kind of works like he's using this hunk of metal as like a shield, maybe? I think that's kind of fun. Now, there is one thing I want to show you with that real quick, because it is a really cool idea. However, it does have a bit of a weight problem. You can usually get it on there and he holds it just fine. Actually, right there, I just clipped it on. It's working pretty good. But I did have some instances while I was photographing it where it would start drooping slowly over time. So that's one of those things you always have to think about. Like if you're going to display these on the shelves, sometimes weight is just going to win. And when you have big, heavy things, it will cause the arms to kind of droop down. So just think about that while you're posing them. I did not run into that issue with these rings. I think these are light enough that we shouldn't have any issues with them falling down or weighing down the arms on the shelf. So hopefully that is the case. The final accessory that this Magneto comes with is this wire here, or maybe it's like a piece of rebar or a pole or metal pole or something, but it's bendy. Because the whole idea, of course, is that Magneto is using his powers to bend it, maybe to like wrap up one of the good guys, wrap up one of the X-Men. I will say that it's not quite as bendy as I would like it to be. I actually did try getting some shots of this wrapped around Wolverine just because I thought that was a really cool idea, but I had a hard time getting it to stay on him just because it doesn't really bend all that well, and it doesn't hold its shape. It kind of starts to bend back, but it is a fun little idea. Just doesn't work as good as I would like it to, but there's still so many other cool accessories in here that I don't know. I don't feel like that's much of a complaint. So there you go, my friends. That is a look at the new 1/6 scale Magneto figure from Mondo. All in all, I am very impressed with this guy. I think he looks incredible. Paint deco is fantastic. The colors are good. The accessories are super fun. Love the magnetic stuff. And man, just seeing him standing with that Wolverine and that Jubilee, it's a really great looking line so far. And it's just crazy like to see the scales of these guys standing side by side and just how much bigger Magneto is. The only things, like I said, that I would really watch out for is your paint scuffing. You know, with that cape being so stiff and hard, you don't want it to scuff up any paint on the arms, and definitely be careful with swapping heads. That always seems to be an issue with a lot of the Mondo figures that I run into, where we've got some paint scraping off on the necks, so you just want to be mindful when you're swapping heads. Otherwise, I think he's beautiful. Really will make for a great display piece. So as I stated, this figure is shipping very soon. Mondo actually says that it's going to be shipping within the next week here of the time that I'm posting this video. So if you did get this guy pre-ordered, get ready. He should be on the way very, very soon. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, my friends.